Hey guys, Philosopher here, and today I have Starting Now, my new player guide, and this is April 2022. I update these guides every month or two, and the reason I do that is because this game changes very, very rapidly. So if you're a new player, if you've been playing a month or two or three or four, this is the guide for you. And I try to update these rapidly because the game is changing all the time. So if you're relying on an old guide, whether it's on the web or an infographic or a video, you probably just want to set that aside. There's a lot of advice that if you're relying on old, out-of-date information is pretty bad. And the game changes rapidly because of something called power creep. Power creep is something that the company that makes this game does to try to get us to buy the newer characters. So what you'll find in this game is that the newer characters tend to be really powerful and more powerful than the old characters. So for example, right now, one of the most powerful characters in the game is this character, Icarus. You may be familiar with this character if you watched the Eternals movie that came out. Very powerful character, and it's more powerful than a lot of the older characters in the game that you might know better. Characters like Thor or even Thanos, who very powerful characters in the comics, are eclipsed by Icarus because he's just a newer character, and the developers want to sell us the new characters. And so if they made the new characters weaker than the old characters, we wouldn't want to buy them potentially. So that's what they do. And in fact, if you're starting this month in April or May, you're starting at a time where there's some real change coming because the new powerful team that's coming in, the Dark Hole team, is actually coming this month to eclipse the Eternals. And this is just how the game works. So the Eternals were the most powerful team before. Now this new team, the Dark Hole team, is coming out. You will have an opportunity, for example, to get some of these characters for free. Doctor Strange Heartless, a different version of Doctor Strange from the What If show on Disney+. Wong, who you may know from the movies, some of the recent Marvel movies. And then, of course, there's Agatha Harkness, who you may know from the recent Scarlet Witch and Vision show, the WandaVision show, or Morgan Le Fay. These characters are all coming out more recently, and they're going to eclipse the Eternals. And that's just how this game works. So because of that, what I'm going to try to get you to do is invest in newer characters, not the old characters in the game. And I'll just say that if you come to this game with the mindset that you want to build up, older characters, your favorite characters, maybe you're an Iron Man fan, for example, you love Iron Man, you can do that in this game. But it's harder to complete the content than if you invest in the newer, stronger characters. So my advice in this video is going to be based on helping you get through the content faster and more efficiently by investing in some of the newer characters. Now, one thing I'm just going to say is I'm going to give you a guide that is assuming that you are free to play, okay? And it also assumes that you're not getting a certain drop or another drop out of an orb. So in other words, you're going to get, at times in this game, some characters that are going to just drop your way randomly through these orbs, right? Whether it's premium orbs or, more importantly, as a new player, you will get something called mega orbs here. These mega orbs that you pull will give you a chance to get a powerful character. So, for example, this is Yelena Belova, not very important, but Deathpool would potentially help your account when it first starts up. So it really depends, what path you take on what you draw out of these mega orbs and premium orbs. So what I'm saying is you have to use what I'm telling you in this guide as a starting point, but it's not necessarily a cookie cutter guide. It will work for everybody, but you might have better ways to optimize your account if you get some good luck along the way. All right, so let's just start at a starting point. I'm talking to you about different characters to collect, and I just want to say this at a starting point. This is, people call these hero collector games, but they're actually more like resource management games. So if you haven't figured it out, there's all sorts of different resources in this game that you have to manage. There's things like energy right up here. There's this green energy called ISO energy. There's something called power cores. This is a premium currency in the game. There's gold. Training materials. When you train up the characters, you'll find those. You probably have noticed there's all these gear pieces in the game that you need to make your character stronger. So all those things are resources. And how you manage those resources is going to determine how powerful your account is and how quickly you advance. It's not going to surprise you that Scopely, the company that makes this game, does not give you all the resources you need to advance. So you have to use your resources carefully. Now, I will just say, even though sometimes this might be called a hero collector game, this isn't like Pokemon. You don't want to just collect them all. There's really no benefit to building a lot of the characters in this game. In fact, I have a massive account, and I have not built many of the characters in the game, and that's just because characters like, Shield Trooper or an AIM Infector just don't add anything to my account. They're not very good. They don't really contribute in any way, so I've just left them behind. Now, maybe at some point, sometimes the old characters get reworked and updated, but until that happens, they're just going to sit here at level 1, and I have all sorts of characters at varying degrees of getting built because once I get them to a certain level, I don't get a benefit from building them anymore. So what you want to do in your account is manage your resources and use your resources on characters that move your account forward. Now, one thing that you need to know about early in the game is something called synergy. I'm going to talk about that concept now because it's the reason why I'm going to suggest a certain team for you at the very, very start. If you just made your account today, you're going to have very few characters. There's some characters given to you early on, like Spider-Man or Luke Cage. But one team that I'm going to suggest you build just in the first days to get you going is this Wave 1 Avenger team. You're probably familiar with this team already if you've watched the Marvel movies, right? Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Hawkeye, or Black Widow. This team up here in the first row, is a team that has synergy where the team is designed to work together. And basically, and what I mean by synergy is that the characters have these abilities, and if you read the text, they get certain benefits from working together. So, for example, Thor gets additional damage from Wave 1 Avenger allies. On his turn, he heals himself based on those Wave 1 Avenger allies. Then what happens, basically the way the team works, is when an enemy attacks somebody on the team, he gets speed bar and he gains charges. Once he gets a maximum of 5 charges built up, he attacks everyone from the sky with lightning. That's basically how this team works. So you have a couple tanks, like Captain America and Hulk. They get hit a lot, they absorb the hits, and Thor gets charges and he blasts everybody. This team is okay. It's not super important in the game anymore. It's kind of a below average team at this point, but it will get you started in the very early days in the game, and you can use it. You'll need it at a certain point later in the game for one of the campaigns, the Do More campaign. So it's not a complete waste to put some gear into this team. So what I suggest as a starting point is that you build this team just to get through the Heroes campaign that you're just starting with in the beginning. The reason I suggest this team is that you're going to get some of these characters for free. So you're going to get Captain America and Thor for free from calendars as a new player. Hulk, you're actually going to get from something called achievements. So if you go here in the game, you'll see, for example, as you do different things in the game, you'll get these shards, which you can use to increase the star level of your characters. And here, for example, is shards for the Hulk. So you'll just get him eventually for free that way just by playing the game. And then Hawkeye and Black Widow are very easy to get. So you probably, if you've downloaded the game or you're on your phone or whatever, you've already started working your way through the Heroes campaign. And Heroes 1-9, which you only need like characters without even green gear. Okay, just your starting point in the game. You can unlock this node where you can farm Hawkeye. And similarly in the Villains campaign, Villains 1-9, you're going to be able to farm Black Widow. So this is sort of an early team just to get you going. Obviously, it's a Heroes team. It'll help you in the Heroes campaign. But you want to transition out of this team as quickly as possible. You just, in the beginning, you're using your energy for whatever, okay? You're just going to, farm up the stars on this team a little bit, farm up whatever nodes you can, get experience, because as you farm nodes, you're going to get experience, you're going to get gold and things like that to get your commander level up here in the upper left up, and you're going to quickly transition to a better team, which I will get to in a minute. Now, what the goal here is going to be is to build one team that you can use in multiple different game modes, okay? So one thing I will just say as a starting point, as soon as you're done watching this video, one thing I want you to do is go into the description and get to a Discord and find an alliance. An alliance is just a group of players. So here's my alliance. If you go to the alliance members, it's a group of players that all play together, and you can get benefits from working together. There's 24 members in an alliance, and you'll see here it says raid keys daily. Basically, raid keys are another resource in this game that you basically get just from using energy in the game. So as long as you're active and you play the game every day, you will generate keys for an alliance. And even if you just started out, if you're level 1 or level 2, there's some alliance that will take you in because they need somebody generating raid keys. So, and raids are one of the important game modes that you're going to need to build a team to do. So, for example, you might start on what are called here Ultimus raids, and they basically contain, they contain nodes like this one that have enemies here in blue gear that you have to defeat. And you work with your alliance mates to defeat these nodes, and then you get various rewards from that. Okay, that's basically what raids are. You're also going to want to build that. So you're going to want to build a team that you can use to defeat those raids with your alliance. You're also going to want to use that same team in Arena, which is an important game mode because it not only does it gives you currency that you can use for this store where you get characters, more on that later, but it also has some great rewards that you can get. You get power cores, which are premium currency in the game. So even as a free-to-play player, you can get these power cores every day based on how high that you finish in the arena. Now, over time with your alliance, you'll also unlock something called Alliance War. And Alliance War is basically a mode where you place various teams on defense, and then the other team, the other alliance attacks those defenses, and you attack the other side's defenses. Okay, that requires you to have multiple teams. For right now, this is a game mode that gives lesser rewards than the other ones, so I wouldn't focus on that to start. What I would focus on to start with is, on one team that you can use in Arena and you can use in raids, and you can even use that team in something called Blitz. So Blitz is, you will unlock at some point. And Blitz is a game mode where basically you use your teams to fight fake teams that are generated by the computer. So these are real players, but what they do is they artificially inflate the team to match my own team. So what you can do if you build one strong team of 5 characters, and I will talk more about what team that is in a moment, what you'll be able to do is actually do something like, and I'll show you kind of in my Blitz squads, something like this, where you can actually just, what I'm going to have you do is split up those 5 characters. So like here, for example, I have one strong character. She's at 60K. And then I got these 4 lobies. And then what does it generate here? 1 strong character and then lobies. Okay, here's here's another team that's similar. Okay, and the idea is that because these, I'm going to pick some good characters for you. If you put like 4 level 1 characters with it, you will be able to beat one-on-one those teams. You'll have 5 different Blitz teams. Okay. The idea is basically Blitz is just a game mode where you fight these enemies and you get rewards. Certainly as you get better in the game and have a bigger account, you can get these ranking rewards. But in the beginning, the focus is just going to be getting these milestone rewards. You'll get this currency that you get, Blitz credits that you can use to buy characters from the Blitz store. You'll also get some gold, and you're going to get these Blitz orbs that also contain character shards in them. So this is what we're doing in this game. You may say, wait, Philosopher, why not just build different teams for these different game modes? Why not build an arena team and a raid team and war teams and Blitz teams? Well, that's what Scopely wants you to do, and eventually you might get there. But it's much more efficient to build one team. And then, for example, if you build this one character, you can use this character in all those game modes. And the gear you put on this character then will help you in arena and raids and war and so on. Okay? Now, one thing I will just say as a starting point is I did to create this team is I told you, for example, that we're going to start with the Wave 1 team. But the goal is actually to transition out of this team as soon as possible because it's not very good. So you're going to start with this team very early on. But as soon as possible, what I want you to do is transition to using characters from a different team, the Infinity Watch team. It's a very good team. It's not the best team in the game anymore. It was very good. It was the best team in the game several months ago when it was introduced. And back when it was introduced, you could get all these characters, for free, other than Adam Warlock. More on the legendary piece of this later, but you still are able to get 3 of the characters in this list pretty easily. And so we're going to start by talking about Gamora. So Gamora, you're going to find in the Blitz store. So I'm going to show you right here. She's right here in the Blitz store. The Blitz store, you use that currency from that game mode I just told you about. You should aim to get her, I think, in my mind, I would get her up to 4 or 5 stars. And then once you get her up to that high, then I would go to these Blitz orbs. You might go a little lower depending on whether or not you use Shang-Chi. More on that later. Okay, but at the very least, the reason I say you at some point you want to transition to Blitz orbs is Blitz orbs cost less than 500 Blitz credits. I think they're 375, and you get a random character out of the Blitz store, so it's more efficient and allows you to get a wider selection of characters. You also have an opportunity to get Shang-Chi, who's a special character only available in the Blitz orb. You also get gold, which you don't get from the Blitz store. So it's a more efficient way of using your currency, but in the beginning you need to get your Gamora up so you have a team going. All right, so like I said, we're going to get Gamora here from the Blitz store, and then Nebula is not that hard to get. So, and this is when you're going to get started. You may say, well, Philosopher, when do I transition to this new team? Well, you're going to start farming Gamora out of that Blitz store as soon as you can, and then Nebula as soon as you unlock Nexus 4-6. Now, the nice thing about the Nexus campaign is you can use any character, heroes, or villains to unlock those nodes. And Nexus 4-6, all you need is characters in blue gear. Your Wave 1 Avengers will have no problem with this node. And then you once you have Gamora and Nebula, you can use them in your Wave 1 team. So what you'll do is you're going to take your Wave 1 team and you'll pull out Black Widow and Hawkeye, and then you'll substitute Gamora and Nebula. Then the next step is going to be, after that, is going to be, as you do well in Arena, you're going to replace one of the other Wave 1 Avengers, either Captain America or Hulk, whichever one's smaller for you, with Phi Lavelle. She's expensive out of the Blitz store, but she's the best character in here. And she helps Gamora and Nebula and makes them stronger because of that thing called synergy. They're all in the same team called the Infinity Watch team. So you're going to want to put Phi Lavelle on the team. So then who else joins the team? You're going to want to replace all those Wave 1 at some point. So there are options for you. And one of the options we just mentioned a moment ago, which is in the Blitz orb, Shang-Chi. You may know him from the recent movie. He is only in the orbs, but once you get him, he's an excellent choice. Okay, so he's certainly one option. Another option is here in the raid store, Cloak. Cloak is a fantastic character. He's really good in raids. He's even better with Dagger, who is rumored to be entering the raid store as well. They are very good as a duo, Cloak and Dagger. If Dagger goes to the raid store, I would say getting Cloak and Dagger is the obvious choice for 4th and 5th. But until then, I think Cloak is an excellent choice. One issue, though, with trying to get both Cloak and Dagger is there's some additional characters in the raid store that you need to take a look at. So one other option for the 4th or 5th is this character, Baron Zemo, who I think everyone needs to try to unlock for the villains campaign. Because if you've noticed, the only character so far I've talked about that's a villain is Nebula. And while you can use one character on a node, you're probably going to need more than one character to beat some of the villains campaign. And the team I'm going to recommend for you is actually to use for the villains campaign, because most of these characters we're talking about are heroes, is you're going to use Baron Zemo. He's going to be the one you're going to get as big as you can, because he's a very good and versatile character that, even though he's a little older, he still retains quite a bit of value in the game. So this character right here. And then I'm going to suggest that you pair him with some characters in the Sinister Six, because these characters are very easy to acquire. Swarm, Electro, Shocker, Mysterio, Rhino, Vulture, Green Goblin. Really any group of these will do. and you really can just have them much lower. So for example, new players will use, for a team like this one. Okay, this is a team that a new player used, basically, a large Zemo with a smaller Sinister Six group, and it does just fine. And this team beat some difficult nodes in the villains campaign. So specifically, what I'm talking about is in the villains campaign, when you hit level 70, you are going to unlock villains 7. In this part of the campaign, for the first 3 nodes, you're going to need to use either AIM, Hydra, or Sinister Six. Zemo is Hydra. And so that team that I showed you beat villains 7-1, 7-2, and 7-3. Now, you can also include Hydra. I'll give you an example. This is a team that another player used where he threw a Hydra Grenadier in there. Hydra Grenadier and Red Skull are both nice choices, but unless you get them, they can be harder to unlock. So unless you get them, I think that, and this is obviously much higher gear, unless you get them, those particular Hydra characters, I think it's just simpler for most players to use the Sinister Six. Okay, but the reason I'm suggesting those characters is specifically because you have to build them anyway to get through villains 7-1 to 7-3. So you might as well just build them now and get through the first 6 chapters of the villains campaign with them as well. All right, so now we have a team that can work everywhere. We've got our Gamora, Nebula, Phyla-Vell, and then 2 other characters, whether it's Shang-Chi, Cloak, Zemo. You can also use Sharon Carter as a character in the raid store that you can also use. You may know her from the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, but all of these characters are very useful in the game and have some use at the end game even now. So what is the point of your account? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And one other thing, by the way, I will just say before I say that, another character that you could also consider as a 4th or 5th is Wolverine. Of course, very popular character. He was recently reworked. You're going to get him for free from logging into the game, so he's one of the easiest characters to obtain. He also works very well in Arena. Now, I will just say that this team that I'm talking about, when you include, for example, the 3 Infinity Watch members with, let's say, Wolverine and Shang-Chi, it's not like a super OP team. It's a good team, but it's not like one of the best teams in the game or something like that. But it does surprisingly well in new player arenas. In fact, I've been getting a lot of feedback, and what new players have been telling me is that when they are in arena, they basically finish in this zone right here in the 50 to 250 range, which is very good for a free-to-play player. If you are whaling out and spending money and buying offers, take a look at a video I have in this channel called Whale Smarter. But essentially, you'd want to buy those Eternals, or you'd want to go hard on this Darkhold team, really hard on the Darkhold team, and make sure you get Morgan Le Fay to finish it off. And I think that would probably be the Darkhold strategy, probably is the best one for you. No matter who you are, you should collect the shards for that Darkhold team. But I think unless you can get Morgan Le Fay, that team will not do as well for you in Arena. It's also not as much of a raid team, so that's why I'm not suggesting that team for everyone. I think it's going to really depend on whether you're whaling out, whether you're going to be able to get that team up to a decent star level if you are starting the game now. That's why I'm not recommending that team. Okay, but that is a very good team if you are whaling in the game. And those players who do get the Darkhold or even the ones who the Eternals, they're going to be finishing higher up here. Okay, but I think if you're free to play, finishing this area and getting, let's say, 100 cores a day or 150 cores a day is a very good result for a new free-to-play player. It'll get you right on the way to, I think, a very good path in this game. Now, you may say, wait, Philosopher, I've read other guides. I've seen other guides. They've told me to focus on Legendaries. If you are looking at guides that are telling you to focus on Legendaries, you're looking at old advice that is absolutely bad. Because I'm going to tell you the Legendaries in this game are not very legendary. These characters just aren't very good. I know in other hero collector games they're all about the Legendaries. That is not what this game is like at all. At all. Some of the Legendaries are downright awful, like these couple down here. Some are just like okay in this category. There's a couple here are actually pretty good. Omega Red's like one of the better characters in the game. But the characters you can access early are just not that great. And I think any strategy for a new player that's like go all in to get the 40th best character in the game or the 60th or 70th best character in the game makes absolutely no sense when the characters I'm telling you to build that you can get easily out of the Blitz store or the Arena store are way better. So just focus on those new characters. So you may say, wait, Philosopher, what is the goal? What am I doing? Am I just trying to beat these campaigns, heroes, and villains? No. So there's the next video that I'm going to suggest you watch is linked below. It's called Path to Power. It's my evergreen guide for new players, and it teaches you some of the concepts in this game. But essentially what I suggest you do, and I talk about it in more detail in that guide, is you focus on this game mode here called Dark Dimension. Dark Dimension is a really important game mode. I think it's the most important game mode in the game. And your first goal as a new player should be to defeat Dark Dimension 2. What it requires is gear tier 13. So when you hit level 70, you will then be able to bring your characters up to gear tier 13. And if you're doing it the right way, you'll collect your orange gear and you'll put all the orange gear you can to get all your characters up to gear tier 13. Any five characters using gear on gear tier 13 can get through Dark Dimension 2. Now, why is this so important? Well, look at the rewards that you get. You get an unbelievable amount of rewards here. Look at this. Over 3,960 pieces of orange gear you get for defeating Dark Dimension 2. That's going to get you a huge head start, right, on your team. These 18 random items are actually assembled pieces of many of these pieces on the right side. So you actually get many more than 4,000 orange gear pieces in the game. You also get this character's kind of power creep now called Ultron. Still decent, has some value, and you probably know him from the movies. You then get to run the next day, 24 hours later, you get to run Dark Dimension 2 again, and that's called the timed run. The second run, you get even more gear. So you get basically getting over 6,000 the second time. So between the two runs, you're getting like 10,000 pieces of orange gear. This is going to skyrocket your account. So start for Dark Dimension 2, make that team of 5 that I told you. Then you're going to get them to gear tier 13, beat Dark Dimension 2, and then suddenly you got all this stuff, which is great. Now, you notice that I'm telling you to start on Dark Dimension 2, not Dark Dimension 1. That's because Dark Dimension 1 has no gear requirement. However, it requires 6-star characters. And most of you, when you start out, are not going to get those very easily. So, but the nice thing is on your second run of Dark Dimension 2, you will get Ultron at 7 stars. And he basically can carry any other group of 6-star characters through Dark Dimension 1. So all you'll do is gear up Ultron, and you'll whittle your way through Dark Dimension 1. It'll take some time. It'll be like a marathon. You'll chip away at it a little bit by a little bit every day because your characters will resurrect every day, every 24 hours. So eventually you'll get through Dark Dimension 1, and then this will give you even more orange gear, okay? Even more from your 2 runs of Dark Dimension 1. So you're going to get all this orange gear, and then you'll be able to focus on Dark Dimension 3, and which in Dark Dimension 3, there's different sections where you're going to have, for example, a global, then a cosmic, then a city section. Dark Dimension 4 and Dark Dimension 5 have legendary sections, and that's really the only point where you need to start focusing on those legendary characters. And there's later campaigns as well. But just to give you a sense of it, I do have an infographic, which is on my Discord, which is linked below. But I will show you, this infographic. This is my Dark Dimension 5 infographic, which I'm going to be updating soon. But nonetheless, what you're going to see are these are characters that'll do well in Dark Dimension 5. And you'll notice that a lot of the characters I've recommended to you are on this list. Here's Cloak and Dagger, okay? Here in the city section. Here's Shang-Chi in the city section. For example, in the global section, here's Sharon Carter, who I mentioned to you. Wolverine is here. In the cosmic section, here's Phyla-Vell, Gamora, and Nebula. They're all here, right? So the point I'm trying to make to you is you're building characters who you can basically use that gear that you're getting from Dark Dimension 2 to gear up the same characters for Dark Dimension 3, 4, and 5, and have the beginnings of teams that can get you through those modes as well, because they have even more rewards. You're going to get even more orange gear. You'll be able to accelerate your account. That's what I call the path to power. That's what that video is all about. And that's just a start for this game. Now, obviously, I can't tell you everything about playing this game in one video, but I hope that this has given you a real start. The important thing that you need to do, though, is get inside an alliance and get into the community. So please go to my Discord below. There's a channel there you can go to look for an alliance, or go to the official Discord, which I'll also link below, the official MSF Discord. That's also a great spot to find an alliance. And good luck to you on your journeys. This is a great game. I hope you enjoy it as much as I have over the years. All right. And if you like this video, by the way, smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. If you have comments, questions, cheers, jeers, happy, sad, angry, mad, put them below. Or go to my Discord. That's linked below. You can also go to my Twitch stream. That is linked below too.